Hello and welcome to Color Talk. I originally had started this video, but I got interrupted, so I ended up just trying to starting over. So I already started coloring this picture. I'm coloring out of this coloring book. You probably better say it, but it's Crayola. It's the main one I colored pictures like this out of before. And I'm trying to finish it. So this is so far I've got. It's like the teal theme, and in this series, I'm going to kind of talk about different things, kind of like my podcast. But I wanted to start this series because I don't want my podcast centered just around miraculous. I'm trying to get it centered around multiple things, but since new episodes of miraculous are coming out, I know that means a lot of episodes are going to be about miraculous. So that's why I'm trying to dedicate another series to be able to talk about some other things that I want to talk about, but I don't want to focus on in the podcast. So that's why I'm starting this series. So I decided I was going to talk about Sentimonsters. Since I already started, I'm kind of talk slow or talk slow, I'm not sure. But Sentimonsters. When I started watching the show, okay, so I watched the show, and then I had stopped watching the show for a few years, and then I discovered it again around when the 100th episode came out. I remember it was around Christmas or November or something like that. When I was just watching, I was just on YouTube, and seeing it, I was like, how does he know their identities? And that kind of got me back into Miraculous. And so around that time is when I started discovering the Sentimonster theory. And then around that time, I hated Felix. As you know, I like him now. So I wanted him to be a Sentimonster, but not Adrian. That's how much I hated him, that I was willing to want him to be the Sentimonster that can disappear in just a snap, or something like that. So then we did into when I started liking him, which was towards season 5. I didn't want either of them to be a Sentimonster. But as we know, in season 5, towards the end, we see that him and Adrian and Kagami are all Sentimonsters. And we can also see how Adrian they were wanting kids and it wasn't working, and so then they used the brooch, and that's what happened to Emily. The brooch, since it was broken, ended up starting to affect her, and then which caused her to go missing. And then um, Felix's dad was mad that they were able to have a kid, and why couldn't them? So then, in exchange for the source, which was the brooch, it was the bodyguard. And then, because of the brooch being broken, that's what happened to Felix's dad. But as we can see, is Felix's dad since because of the brooch started affecting him, but he started to kind of use Felix. And Felix didn't become free until his dad died. That's when he was able to stop the rain. So I really started to feel bad for Felix learning this about him, that he went through this part in his life where he, all the way up into his dad, that he was being forced to do certain things. So I definitely feel bad for him. And then Kagami is the only one. I'm trying to figure out where she fits into this, because we had seen what happened to Natalie when she was using the brooch. It started to affect her. She stopped being able to walk, and then we kind of see her slightly, you know, towards the end, at the end of season 5. But we see her; she's back, and that is awesome. I love her. She is a queen. And then I'm still trying, like I said, to try and figure out where Kagami fits into this, because we can see that, but there's no mention of Kagami's father. So where does Mr. Rudy fit into this? I remember hearing something about because of the brooch being broken, that's why Mr. Rudy is blind. That was what happened to her. But it just kind of doesn't fit, right? Well, it doesn't, because everyone that used the broken brooch end up slowly dying, but she's there blind. That's it. But then that theory is not that far off because there's no mention of the father. So did she just not want to wait for someone and she just wanted to have Kagami? That's the part I don't know. That's the part I'm still trying to figure out, and how this all fits in with it. And it's like at this point, just make everyone Sentimonsters. Please don't. Don't actually make everyone Sentimonsters. But if you already put these main 3 characters as Sentimonsters, that is wow. Because, like I said at the time, for season 5, I hated Felix, so I kind of, when I in the finale, I was like, okay, Felix is trying to actually change. You're trying to help Adrian. And then when I seen the last episode, I was like, I still hate Felix. Season 5 times I love Felix. That's kind of how it was a little bit. But it like took some time, because when he actually betrayed, like actually did the whole miraculous switch thing, I was like, okay, why are you doing this? Like why? Why? But now, knowing the reason why he wanted the peacock brooch was to protect Sentimonsters. And see, at the finale, when he said sorry, for a while, I thought he was saying sorry to Ladybud. I didn't realize he was saying sorry to the Sentimonsters that were going to the sun. But then actually hearing him say that again to the Red Moon in Emotion, season 5, I was like, oh, this does make sense. And then that's what kind of also confirmed the whole Sentimonster thing right there, was he called the Red Moon his sister. So, I mean, yeah, that kind of checks out for him being a Sentimonster, even though I started to hate it. Like, is there more Sentimonsters in the story then? Because I'm still trying to figure out how the whole Zoe and Chloe thing works out. Because we know Chloe's family goes back with Gabriel. They've known each other for a long time. So that, and I think Chloe and Zoe are only like 1 year, maybe a little less apart. But yet, Chloe's parents, Andre and Audrey, have been married for like 20, and Chloe's like 15, and Zoe, I think, is 14. How does this kind of work? Because Andre is not Zoe's dad. So that's something I'm still trying to figure out. I was like, did they hit that rough of a point where they weren't divorced or something? But I don't know. That's something I was trying to figure out. So what if one of them is a... Oh my goodness, sorry about that. I interrupted again. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about the Chloe thing. So, like, since they love that, obviously nothing is wrong with Audrey or Andre, but what if Chloe or Zoe is a Sentimonster? Now, is this pushing it? Trying to talk about another person being a Sentimonster? Maybe. But if we already got them, what's one more person? Like, come on, what's one more person? Or two? Like, might as well, even though I just said, don't make them all Sentimonsters. Might as well just make them all Sentimonsters. You're probably gonna do it anyway. I think there was a theory that Marinette was a Sentimonster, and I'm starting to think that's pushing it. And I know there's a theory about Marinette and Lila being sisters. I'm like, okay, don't push it. Don't push it. They really are starting to push it with these theories and ships, and it's starting to kind of drive me insane a little bit. So I was like, just let them be. Should be happy that they already confirmed Adrian and Felix being Sentimonsters. Why you got to make everyone a Sentimonster? They even did Kagami. Who else are you going to make the Sentimonster and be upset if they don't answer it? Who else? There's not many more people you can probably do that would make sense in the times that these are done. How many more people will you keep saying are Sentimonsters until it is confirmed? I think there should be a limit. It was already pushing it, talking about Kagami, but they all got confirmed. But you're really pushing it, I feel like, for me to start bringing up Marinette and stuff like that. Because I was just telling about the Sentimonster theory that I don't know if anyone else has this theory, but what I was thinking about was Chloe, and I feel like I'm definitely pushing it. There should definitely be a limit on how many people you can think are Sentimonsters until you just basically say the entire world of Paris is a Sentimonster in this show. But I kind of like that one thing. Like, I remember I watched comic dubs of Miraculous, and it was only one comic dub that I ever watched that I was actually okay with them talking about Adrian being a Sentimonster. I can't remember, he was half human, half Sentimonster, like he was human, but he almost died, so then he's half Sentimonster. And what was it? And kind of like something like that, and that's what happened to Emily. That was like the last thing she was able to do before she passed, or something like that. But that was the only thing, and it was how they figured out that he was half Sentimonster, half human, was because in that old thing, Kami and human switch thing. I doubt that would actually happen in the show, but actually, if it did, that'd be crazy. But Plaid was who sensed it. But I feel like, shouldn't Plaid had already sensed it? Shouldn't Dusu had sensed that he was a Sentimonster? Or actually, like, knew and didn't, and should have said something? Because they're Kwamis. Shouldn't they be able to recognize when another Kwami, like them, had created something? Like, Dusu created Adrian, so wouldn't Plaid had actually realized that in the actual show? Maybe Titi, because she's a Kwami creation, she had recognized that, because Titi had Adrian as a holder at one point. Like, shouldn't that have been something? I feel like Kwami should be able to tell, shouldn't they? I mean, Waze was able to realize when the Butterfly Miraculous was used. So shouldn't under Kwami be able to realize when the Peacock Miraculous was used to create a whole living being? Like, shouldn't that have been something that was talked about a little bit in the show at least? I don't know. These are my opinions on this. I don't know if I've been able to do a whole podcast episode about it. Goodness. because it's kind of frustrating me with the Sentimonster thing. I'm really getting a little bit annoyed with it, but it's been a while, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around knowing that they are Sentimonsters, and now they are definitely like, treat them well, please, because I don't want something to happen to them. And before it'll be like, just don't let anything happen to them. It says, yeah, that's what I thought. But then actually knowing that they're Sentimonsters was like, oh, goodness gracious, please don't let anything happen to them. They're Sentimonsters. They can disappear just like that. I mean, since Adrian is a Sentimonster, shouldn't he been able to feel something too? Like, wouldn't he have been able to feel, like, when it was the Senti Ladybug, that they were both created by the same magic? Like, shouldn't that have been something? Because they're both Sentimonsters, wouldn't he have kind of realized that? But I think to this day, he does not know he's a Sentimonster. And that does kind of hurt me, because shouldn't he know about that at least? If you're not going to tell him, I don't know how, that probably wouldn't work. Because then he would probably learn about Gabriel having the power, and that's what happened to his mom. But yet Felix knows, and Kagami knows, and Marinette knows. Shouldn't he know that he's a Sentimonster? Or is he gonna let the Sunshine Boy just live on without knowing that he's a Sentimonster instead of a human? That's like the human. And that kind of goes to the Sentimonsters. You can create them however you want, so they can be perfect. And when I was hating on the theory because I didn't want to believe it, they always said Adrian's perfect, and they still say it. He's perfect, and I always hated that because I'm like, stop saying he's perfect. No one's perfect. Stop saying he's perfect because he's not a Sentimonster. He's a Sentimonster now, but that was definitely something that kind of annoyed me, was how many times he would say perfect, because I was trying to hate on it and it would try to bring it perfect, and I hated that. Now perfect's not even sound like the word anymore for me. Goodness. Stopped already for being the show. I think we need a reasoning on Kagami being a Sentimonster, because I feel like we should know why she is, by why Mr. Rudy was created her, because we don't know the story, her true story, her story. We don't know that. We only know Adrian and Felix's and what happened and why they were created. But what about them? Shouldn't we know about them too? About her too? This Sentimonster theory is really getting on my nerves, I feel like, a little bit at this point. Because I remember I heard something about this kid, and it was in a podcast. I heard this in my favorite Miraculous podcast. I'll actually think I'll put it in the description, the name of it, like the info about him, right? The Miraculous Besties podcast. I remember one of the episodes talked about the Sentimonster thing and how it was confirmed in season 4, but again, I was hating on it, so I kind of didn't talk about that whole thing. Actually, I forgot about that until right now. But it was confirmed because he can't disobey his father, and they only pushed that into season 5, and they pushed that he cannot disobey his father, but Felix can because he's in control himself, and Gabriel is not in control of him, like he's of Adrian. Definitely know there was something like that, and the rain thing kept bothering me too. But I remember in one of the episodes, they were talking about the Sentimonsters, like I said, and I remember one of them talked about how she was at a wedding and talking about Miraculous to a kid, and kid didn't know about the Sentimonster theory, and she told the kid the story, and the kid started crying. And that made sense because this show is technically supposed to be targeted for kids, and but yet there's a lot of stuff in it that's like, wouldn't this hurt kids? I mean, the scene in Natalie thing at the end of season 5 was something to like, she definitely did kind of go. Like, I hate saying that this, I love Natalie, and I seen that I cried, and when I hadn't watched the episode in a while, and I watched it like last week, like before that new episode, season 6 came out, I cried because, like I said, I love Natalie, so seeing that hurt me. So I feel like the show has kind of gone dark a little bit. They've been actually showing something like that, and then showing that they are actually Sentimonsters. I feel like won't this kind of be a lot for kids? Like, their favorite characters are turning out to be something that can disappear just like that. Like, isn't that something? I'm definitely excited to see how the Sentimonster thing, it should definitely probably come up in this next season, so I'm definitely excited for that. I definitely want to talk about this now before there was new Sentimonster stuff that brought up. But who knows? Who knows how many more people will probably be Sentimonsters if this does keep happening, where people keep becoming Sentimonsters, apparently. That would be crazy if more people were Sentimonsters. I'm frustrated with Sentimonster stuff right now. Wanted to talk about it, but now I'm getting frustrated with it. Because I was hoping that was just a theory, but obviously it's not. And that's why I kind of feel like I feel like I'm still a little bit in denial, because I don't want to know. I didn't want them to be Sentimonsters, and then the fact that they are Sentimonsters, I'm still trying to stay in denial a little bit and try to not focus on the fact that they are, and just try to know that and knowing that information, but trying to watch it, but trying to act like they don't know the information, to see how much more they would bring into the fact that they're Sentimonsters. Like, so far in episode 1, it has never been mentioned once. They're Sentimonsters. Not in the intro, nothing. It's never been shown. I'm sure I didn't even look, actually. Is Adrian still wearing the twin rings? I didn't even notice. I might have to watch the episode again. Yeah, I could be. Yeah, I think we can watch it again. And look to see if he's wearing the rings, because those are where his month is. So if he's not wearing it, then he's in control of himself, but is he? If he's not wearing the rings? I know when I watched the finale the last week of season 5, I was like, when they get married, so we better have that, since we already had like time jump. I hope they get married with those twin rings, because I mean, I already kind of pictured them using that as their rings. And Adrian will obviously be in control, but Renee would possibly be in control of Adrian a little bit too, since she would have one ring. I mean, I would keep the family thing going, but that would definitely, those rings definitely have more meaning, and obviously Marinette would not want to actually control him to do anything. She would probably just wear the ring and just have like Adrian control do whatever, because I don't picture Marinette actually controlling him to do something. because she gave him both rings, obviously. Well, Ladybug gave him both rings. But you can tell me why I was probably the only one that kind of seen that, is that could have been when Marinette put the rings on his finger. That could have been like the proposal scene. They're 14, I'm already wanting to get married. Nah. Goodness. Goodness. I remember, I think they heard something about it, I can't remember. But since he's Sentimonster, and she's a human, does that mean their kids would be half human, half Sentimonster? Probably. I'm thinking of the future now. I'm definitely thinking of the future of my goodness. But I think that's all I want to really talk about in this episode is that. And I don't think I have anything else that I want to talk about. And I also do want to mention something about the last episode, the podcast. I was talking about one thing I mentioned in that was who knows Marinette. Ladybug is Marinette, the identity thing, and I realized I forgot one person. Oh my goodness, his name was just right there. Oh my gosh. The Grandmaster Suhan, him. I forgot that he also knows her identity. So see, that added another person that knows her identity, but not his. But yeah, I think that's all I want to talk about in this video. I cannot wait for the next episode of season 6 to come out. I cannot wait to talk about that. I think if I do another one of these about Miraculous, I would probably do it about the ships. So I definitely need to write down all the ships I can find. Maybe not all of them. And so then I can talk about that. Because that would definitely probably be a fun episode. But until next time, cannot wait to see you all again. Thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone has a good day. And remember, be miraculous.